Mr. Harvey, what is beauty in your opinion?
I've been thinking a lot about beauty lately, actually, and I was really looking forward to this conversation as a way to get some of these ideas out and
Mm.
hopefully get some response from you or other listeners. But I- in my um, in my readings of people like uh, Dennis Dutton, and also of the and also uh, following and reading people the um, like the like the ev- like the evolutionary biologists,
Mm.
um, uh, um, Brett Weinstein and
Mm-hmm,
Heather
mm-hmm.
Hine. I've been thinking a lot about what beauty actually is, because it's something that philosophers have struggled with for eons. And I have an idea that I don't know if it's an original idea, that uh, beauty is actually a sensation that happens in your head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's not anything that can be described by a list of criteria, or there aren't any sort of immutable traits. Um, but I think that um, that beauty is a sensation that comes from the part of us that is programmed to recognize patterns. I think that we evolved to constantly be looking for uh, patterns, as a way to guide us through the world. And
Mm-hmm.
we have emotional responses to um, these different sort of analogies, or um, uh, repeating ideas that pop up in the world around us. So I think that um, that when we see something beautiful, we're recognizing it as an analogy to something that's true in life. So it's um, it's if if we see if we see some sort of let's see, I I'm starting to lose my whoops, sorry, I'm sorry here, I just lost my train of thought and then lost my screen.
Oh, no worries.
All right. um, so I'm sorry, I just need a moment to collect myself here. So I've got some notes, and I'm trying to figure out uh, where I am here. Um, so something that I wrote in preparation for this is that uh, human beings, like other animals, are pattern seekers,
Mm-hmm.
and analogies are a specific type of pattern. Um, it's a pattern that's more like a parallel. A simple analogy, might be that Michelangelo is the sculpture, as Michael Jordan is the basketball. And if you know one of those figures, but not the other, then the context gives you, a vague sense of importance that those people held in their respective fields. Um, so um, I think that um, that I think really that we can find anything beautiful, uh, as long as we're able to see some sort of a parallel to truth in our own lives. And that's what's made it so hard for a lot of philosophers in the past to to try to describe what beauty is because we can see things that are ugly and find them beautiful, or things that are terrible and find them beautiful in some sort of an absurd way. So I think that as I've tried to go back and read some of the philosophy about ideas of beauty, I feel like this idea that it's an idea in our own head that's just recognizing patterns really solves a lot of the problems that different philosophers come across. So for me, the way that I try to make a beautiful figure is to think about the sort of patterns that exist in nature, in the human body, and to try to use that as a design language to design and construct a human figure from my imagination using those same sorts of principles. So there's things like all the muscles of the body are set up in an antagonist relationship. You have a bicep that that flexes your arm, and you have a tricep that extends your arm. And it's not quite so straightforward with every joint in the human body, but in general, we have that sort of scheme that leads to situations where instead of the body being like if you were to look at the contour of a figure, instead of having sort of a bulbous shape, we tend to see these sort of curving lines that are sort of offset from one another. And I do a lot with manipulating those sorts of patterns to try to make something that looks vaguely naturalistic, but really maximizes people's response to the image of a human figure. So I really feel strongly that this this idea of looking for patterns as a way to understand the world around us is deeply ingrained in an ancient part of our brain that that we used to just to find food, to avoid danger, and as the imaginative creative human beings that we are, we've somehow landed in this place where I get to make sculpture and play with those things and communicate to other people in some sort of weird abstract way.